Welcome to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman, the podcast that deals with the early life of J.R. Hendrick. And now, narrating the episode, the Hendrick Cabal, J.R. and Jimmy. Sorry for a little while, there was a technical difficulty. From last time from the Gathering Peace, disenchanted with his father, I end up grocery shopping with Charlie Nation and end up injuring my knee outside the library. Kevin McDonald, being a Boy Scout, was able to help nurse my knee and keep me together. 7 a.m. Central. At Crockett House, JR is having waffles with Kevin McDonald. Alright, Junior. How long are you going to hide? Kevin asked. I'm going to church at the club today. Sure. But I want a chance to wallow, JR said. Why? Don't ask me why. 11 a.m. Eastern. Arlington, Virginia. Calvary Hill Baptist Church. In church, the pastor is preaching about being born again. And Jim is sitting there with conviction in his heart. 3 p.m. Eastern. Jim is on the phone with Senator Cordell Wheeler, trying to pull strings, but to no effect. 3:15 p.m. Central. JR is sulking in his dorm room. Suddenly, he gets a phone call. It's Jennifer Bowers. Hey, JR, I want you to know that my friend Kayla, who lives in London, she and I went skiing this morning in Winnipeg. There was no response over the phone. JR, are you okay? Day after day, I keep grinding in this place, dying as a cog in my daddy's system. For a year, over a year, Jennifer. Night after night, we pretended everything was going to be alright. Only to find out that I wasn't the one that your elders picked for marriage. Doesn't make for very much fun anymore. All my fears coming home, Jennifer. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm just not that much in the mood for conversation right now, Jennifer. Maybe we talk sometime later. Sometime way later. He gets up and, after hanging up the phone, he gets up and walks to his bed. His knee hurting a little bit from some of the pain. Something disagreed with him from dinner last night, and all of a sudden, he started throwing up. 7 p.m. Central. JR is in his room with Kevin McDonald and Larry Thurber. So he went to church, grabs lunch at the snack bar, then was on the phone with Jennifer Bowers. And then, what do you know? It's after he gets off the phone with her, he throws up, Kevin said. What's going on, JR? Larry asked. Must have been that bowl of fettuccine Alfredo that I ate last night. It's more than that. There's something going on with you and Jennifer, Larry says. Oh, she just have a little fun with the peg. Wish I was on my internship having fun. Doesn't sound like an internship with your father. Sounds like any fun at all, Kevin said. Who says I'm going to be having any internship with my father? Going down to Dr. Kinghorn's office and changing that ASAP. April 24th, 12:20 a.m. Eastern. Jim is in the kitchen making coffee. He thinks about the previous day's events. Things between him and Mike Fields have gone distant. And because of that, some possible peace of things between him and Betsy going distant. He's restless again. He knows that after breakfast this morning, Betsy is going to be marching down to Johnson Hargrove, a contract lawyer used by former Congressman Kent Hance. She wanted to add a clause on Betsy's end of the Bottomless Lake contract. The hard share of the development would be given to her 1 year after her mother's passing, knowing that her Elizabeth was maybe dying soon. 4:30 a.m. Eastern. Jim wakes up again and goes into the kitchen for another cup of coffee. His conscience is haunting him concerning JR. He makes the point that today he will be contacting his son this afternoon around 4. 6:30 a.m. Central. Donuts and cinnamon rolls were for breakfast at the Holy Spirit Club. As JR takes his tray and sits down with Brent Clark and C.B. Coleman. Welcome back to the land of the living, C.B. said. Brent thought maybe you absconded until he found out from Kevin McDonald that you were nursing hurt feelings for Jennifer. It's not Jennifer. It's my father, Jared said. That stupid Bottomless Lake thing. You know, my dad says, Brent said. He don't want to know. He don't want to know what your dad says, Stoney said. I'll see y'all around lunch. Had to go around to the lab early this morning. And be a paternal blood. Hope that does something. to your appetite for mentioning my dad's politics, J.R. said. 8 a.m. Eastern. Betsy and Forever are at the offices of Johnson Hargrove, a big hitter in the antitrust and contract law in D.C. Miss Betsy, you know we already aimed, please, Hargrove said. Can I offer you something to drink? Lemonade, Johnson, Betsy said. I would like your life information resume on the wall outside your office. Texas Tech in 1962, an MBA from University of Texas in 1965, and a Harvard Law degree in 1970. Hargrove hands Betsy the lemonade, along with Forever some ginger ale. Let's ask Betsy, please. Cut to the point. I want you to add to my clause to the contract that deals with my shares of the Bottomless Lake development, that it is to remain in trust until 1 year after my mother's passing. I'm so sorry. I didn't know your mother was dying. Charming. I have known since December. But it's becoming more rapidly so now. Please, add this to my contract and notify the other attorneys involved regarding Bottomless Lake. But Andy Braddock and your husband may be under investigation. By the Senate Standing Committee on Ethics, Betsy said. 8 senators have already received written emails explaining my intentions. I'll be damned if my husband gets investigated for something that is not his fault. At the same time, Christine is meeting with Jim in his office. Daddy, what are we going to do? Christine asked. Run off to school, little lady, Jim said curtly. Daddy, does Bottomless Lake... Daddy, this Bottomless Lake thing, you and Mama, there has to be peace. Oh, so what's tearing you apart, huh? Bottomless Lake. It's done. It's meaningless. You were too young to remember this. But it's something I told J.R. and Kyle. And it's about time you learn it. When the going gets tough, the tough get tougher and go on. 8 a.m. Central. In the bowels of Holden Hall, Office 116, Dr. Bruce Kinghorn had just got off the phone with Dr. Harmon. He turns to Dave Stratton, Brent's friend. I just heard from Dr. Harmon. After the controversy with Bottomless Lake, he doesn't feel comfortable with J.R. having an internship working directly with his father. However, his mother is also very rich and very powerful. And she don't want JR working in some intern cubicle in Fairfax. So, she's had the staff recently convert one of the bedrooms into a home office for JR. He's wisely selected an internship with the American Conservative Union. Now, I told Harmon his father would provide him some resources to complete his internship. And not to fight it, and he agreed. At the same time, JR goes to his internship with a bit of sniffles. Staffers could tell he was walking with a slight limp. He noticed that Allison was not there that day, and he thought not to call on Karen today because of his cold. 12:25 p.m. Eastern. Amy Kathleen is sitting in the mansion front lounge when the phone rings. It's JR. JR, I'm surprised you're not in school, Amy Kathleen said. Oh, I got this cold. Good news is, I go see the doctor this afternoon around 2. Do you think you'll be feeling okay? My knee hurts worse than the cold. But I'm sure the doctor is going to give me some over-the-counter cold medication. He's got other things on his mind. Don't worry about me. He'll give me some cold medicine. If there's anything you need, anything at all, just call me. Wow, thank you, Amy Kathleen. I really appreciate that. Just then, Betsy walks in and can tell that Amy Kathleen was on the phone with JR. And she takes the phone. Now, son, I went down to the lawyer today. I drafted up a contract that says I can't inherit anything concerning Bottomless Lake until 1 year after your grandma dies. Mama, do you have to do this to me again? Do you have to keep reminding me that she's dying? Forever took the phone and spoke up. Now, Junior, just calm down. There's a little bit of hope. I just need you to remain calm. She passes away. Springfield ain't never going to be the same. Junior, please, it's all going to be okay, Forever said. Amy Kathleen took back the phone. Focus on getting through school. Focus on your internship this summer, Amy Kathleen said. 12 p.m. Central. Hamburgers were for lunch at the Holy Spirit Club. So JR sits down with Brent Clark and his girlfriend, Jessie. Hey, JR. Just wanted to apologize for acting a fool this morning, Brent said. How's your knee? It'll be all right. Dave got me some cold medicine. Check my bandages. Check my bandage. Just got to go see the doctor this afternoon, Jared said. Your knee in the cold? Jesse said. Jesse, he has even deeper health issues than the doctor has to. Then the doctor he's seeing is also a specialist. 1 p.m. Eastern. Elizabeth Marie arrives home at the mansion for lunch. But she tells Frank she don't have much time for him. She has a corporate policy class at 2. Frank shriveled up his nose and calls himself a cab. 2 p.m. Central. JR is in the waiting room where Dr. Demetrius Nelson walks in. Well, you're not too much worse for the wear with some over-the-counter remedies. This cold is going to take care of itself. They sitting there and said you walk with a slight limp. But that's because you banged your knee up pretty bad Friday. My concern, Mr. Hendrick, is your cholesterol. Talk to Cora on the way out. She's our resident dietitian. She can help. 3 p.m. Central. JR's in his dorm room listening to the Blake Carter show. On the show was Johnson Hargrove being devastatingly critical of Senator Cordell Wheeler for recommending the investigation of the Bottomless Lake debacle. When senators like Trent Lott, Kay Bailey Hutchison, Phil Brown, Alex Romney, and 4 others joining dissenting from the committee investigating Jim Hendrick. JR turns off the radio and takes out his tape recorder and cassette and calls Dr. Kinghorn. How soon can we commence internship submission? Jared said. Apart from your father, right away. Some way's already done. But there's something that you need to know before the semester is over. JR. Dr. Harmon, he's longing to debate you. Be prepared. His debate style. His debate style be out for blood. Don't be disarmed by his friendly introduction. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Jim is in the middle of the Dream Team meeting when he decides to pick up the phone and talk to his son. Well, glad to see you, Daddy, that you're a father that remembers. Jared said, I'm sorry for hanging out with Shirley. I was a little bit on Friday, but I'm sure you don't care about that anymore. I remember everything. I did, and I was wrong, Jim said. You of all people should know When a friend forces you to do something you don't want to do, and you'll do it to protect the people around you. And I'm just going to bet that Grandma Elizabeth is pissed at you for damn good reason. Well, before you go judging me, I just want to ask you for forgiveness. What I did was wrong. Your granddad would have horsewhipped me for that. So, before you go judging me, realize the public affairs involves some deep ethical dilemmas. I know it's happened before. I neglected you when you were sick or hurt. And your granddaddy never forgave me for that. But I'm asking you, son, please pardon me. Jim starts crying. Pardon me. I was so wrong for doing all the crap I did. I bear this sin upon my soul. Please give me a break and let us be friends this summer. Oh, if only I had been there for you when you were slaving for me in Austin. And many times sick, in and out of the hospital. Both grandmas trying to tell me, and I wouldn't even listen. JR tears up himself. Thanks for your willingness to confess, Daddy. It means a lot to me. Jim hangs up the phone and hands over the meeting to Dave Rosenberg to discuss United Development suit of CBNC for slander. 6 p.m. Eastern. Jim is at the Arlington, Virginia home of Johnson and Selena Hargrave. Even though it felt good to finally confess to his son. And his son chose to forgive him. He was tormented about his involvement in Bottomless Lake. Back in the 60s, it was a field of dreams to me. But to me nowadays, it's nothing. Really nothing. Johnson hands him a small bottle. A bottle of white wine, a small bottle of white wine. Andy Braddock sent you under this. And to make matters worse, Claude, just one, had to jump into it. Ken told me back in 1975 that Claude was just completely imbalanced in his contracts for oil and requesting a variance with the Texas Energy Commission. Yeah, I remember I regretted going to Dan Ramsey asking him to turn down the variance. 6:30 p.m. Central. Lasagna is for dinner at the Holy Spirit Club, and JR sits with Brent Clark and C.B. Coleman. Dad fessed up. Beautiful, Gerald said. Careful when you hit it in D.C., Susie said. It's an ethical soup up there. Dad said he noticed it last summer when President Clinton called him from being a federal judge in Waco to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. It's an ethical mess. I heard that 4.5 years ago, Senator Cordell Wheeler was caught in a sexual harassment scandal that never got resolved. Well, I think either Daddy or Mama completely hushed his sweet mouth, Jared said happily. 8 p.m. Central. J.R. and Larry Thurber and Dave Stratton are in one of the classrooms at Smith Hall. J.R. has finished his personal profile story and emailed it to Robert McPherson, his media writing professor, because tomorrow he was skipping the lab to go to Lubbock Christian University to see Karen Kreider. 1 a.m. Eastern. That is the 25th already. Jim is making coffee in the mansion kitchen. Today was the day he learned that the Senate Ethics Committee was going to enforce that Cordell Wheeler declined investigating Jim for conflict of interest. Today's work was only a half day for Jim. 5 a.m. Eastern. In the mansion front lounge, Jim is meeting with Louisiana Senator Cordell Wheeler. Both desired to end the rivalry that had started between them, reminding each other of their history, good and bad. But the argument over the faith-based initiative and the cancel contract was a gulf that they still had yet to fix. And so, after 30 minutes of talking, Betsy kindly asked the senator to leave. 7 a.m. Central. Served was blueberry muffin. After voting, I sat down with Stoney Rosen, who had also voted with the Spirit Club. Bottomless showed up at the Crockett House and Bowie House just in solidarity to support me. Go on now. Okay. I don't see Allison. I figured she'd come and vote, Gerald said. Now relax, J.R. Polls close at 5. Results should be sometime between 7 and 9. Stoney Rosen said. I know, but I had hoped to see her there with me in solidarity. Yeah? What makes you think she's not back with Chuck? Oh, no. Man, I realized that she was the one tie that you had to Jennifer Bowers. look at it this way. She's graduating this year anyway. Yeah, whatever you say, Stoney. Listen, none of us like this. But I think when you get a chance, you should just go enjoy yourself. And don't worry about this election. You're in. Go to the Christian University and visit Karen Kreider, Stoney said. Because if you don't, Charlie Nation is going to go for her, and it's not going to end up good. And she might blame you. 9 a.m. Eastern. Cadence received a call from Gordon Deckard. It was Gordon Deckard, but I decided to change it to Gordon Deckard in Washington, D.C. And Andy Braddock, who had already given testimony from his mansion in Enid, Oklahoma, to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee. He arrives to find Claude and Jim talking. This showdown got to end, Jim, Claude said. Useless. Means nothing to me, Jim said. Now you are not giving up on me, Jim. This is something worth to you. A fat buck when Clinton kicks you out of office, which sadly will happen. Tone down, this is Senate hearing, Cadence said, seeing his friend Isaac at the far end of the room. Cadence Fillmore, Senator Wheeler said. 9 a.m. Central. JR has just finished a public relations test and is at Holden Hall waiting for Allison. She shows up and takes JR's hand. My parents got me a nice condo in Bedford. I've accepted a job at Monahan Public Affairs in Fort Worth, Allison said. When I bump into Jennifer, when she comes back to Texas, do you want me to tell her anything? Yeah. Tell her we'll always be friends. Allison hugs JR for about 20 seconds. Good luck on the elections. I'm sorry, JR. I can't see you anymore. Chuck is waiting for him in the car. Then the phone rang, and I knew it was Karen. It was all in retrospect. I would find out in D.C. that summer that Chuck had asked Allison to marry him, and they would move into her condo together in August. In retrospect, one of my only ties to Jennifer Bowers, as long as she was in Europe, was gone, completely out of sight. 1 p.m. Eastern. I got the call Mama while I was having lunch with friends that Claude had testified around noon in D.C. According to Daddy, he was acting like an idiot and a twit, pleading the fifth. But now Daddy is testifying in some way qualifying what Claude had to say, and in other ways telling the committee that he advised United Development that he didn't want to have anything to do with a consortium concerning Bottomless Lake. Rick Hardy, a family attorney to Daddy and Mama, defended that position, saying that Mama had gone to the lawyers, drawing up papers, saying the exact same thing. 1 p.m. Central. Showing up at Lubbock Christian University. Karen had told JR to show up in the sociology lab. Got an application for an MSW at Odessa University College. Accepted today, Karen said. Marissa is having the same internship with me at the Heritage Foundation. And we both found apartments at the same dorm. That means when the internship is over, she'll help me find an apartment when I go off to grad school. My junior year is almost over. Almost done, Joe said. Broke up with my boyfriend yesterday. Mom says I forgone finals and graduation. I am not walking across the stage. I am needed on my job at BC on the morning of the 12th, Karen said. She leaned over and gave JR a peck on the cheek. This is the end of our splitting up. In the beginning of us becoming something again. 5 p.m. Eastern. The ruling of the Senate Judiciary Committee was as follows. Andy Braddock was excused of wrongdoing. Cadence was also excused. Claude was getting a $40,000 fine. Gordon Deckard was excused of wrongdoing. Phil Maynard was ordered to the reprimand on the House floor May 2nd. Jim was also going to be facing a public reprimand on the House floor in 2 days. So now what? Claude asked. Claude, you and I are flying to Midland tomorrow, Gordon said. I've had my fill of this town. We keep a low profile. Move on with our lives, Jim said. As friends, Claude said. We don't have a choice. As flawed but beautiful friends. And capitalism is a wonderful thing, Jim. Caden spoke up. Speak for yourselves. I intend to be a highly paid public servant. Live the life, Jim said. But it costs too much. You listen too much to that crazy reverend of yours, Claude said. Yeah, well, Claude, he ain't my reverend anymore. That's what I love about you, friends. I'm getting out of here, you crazy middle-aged guys. Going with your business politics banter. Too bad, Cadence. I was going to pull us a glass of wine, Jim said, as Cadence goes downstairs, out of the house, and gets into his yellow Honda. I'll tell you one thing, Claude. We're getting old. 5:30 p.m. Central. JR is at a Bible study in Holy Spirit Club when pizza is being served. Obviously, JR was a shoo-in at the election. Obviously, absent was Allison. You okay? Stoney asked. Better for her to run off in the sunset with Chuck than for her to run off in the twilight with Charlie. I just want you to know that we're here for you, JR. With the last piece of Jennifer out of your life, you can progress. Stoney was right. 5 years later, as I was working for my father, I learned that from Jennifer that Allison became a health public affairs consultant. Well paid and well respected. Even in 2000, I didn't have that much respect for myself because I saw myself as my daddy's slave. 9 p.m. Eastern, Jim and Betsy are cuddling in bed to the nightly news on CBNC. Andy Braddock was suing Lifetime magazine for libel. Before 1995, Andy had been a private citizen, not as much as going to the press for anything. In his interview with the reporter, he says that when it was first mentioned in 1967, Braddock wanted nothing to do with it, to do with Bottomless Lake. His opposition grew in 1976 and 1978. However, in January of 1995, he formed United Development. Company had become small and on the map beginning company had become small and on the map beginning in July 1994. In 1998, we learned that Uncle Andy, as Daddy had us calling, was working with billionaires Ava Sandal. But by 2000, Andy switched to a diamond drill bit deal with a family from Saudi Arabia. One of them had her education in London with a British accent, and she fell in love with him. Daddy said he retired and said that he went off like an old fool. April 27th, 3 p.m., 3 a.m. Eastern. Taking a cup of coffee, JR goes into the movie theater. Jim goes into the movie theater. Sarge follows him. You're worried that they're going to scold you on the house floor with an official vote, Sarge said. It's all cut and dried, Jim said. Jim, this whole thing has been way out of hand. Criticized Claude. Gordon's flying with him to Midland today. And then he's going to buy him some steak dinner and give him money to grow. Thing is, I'm having my attorneys tell him that he needs to know that money is going towards his end of the business, not mine. We talked to the superintendent. There's an in-service day at school today. So, Christine Forever and I will be there to support you. And Aunt Betsy. I wish to God that she wouldn't come. I don't want her to see me like this. It's only natural for a wife to come to the aid of her husband. And Elizabeth has been telling us that. She ain't on my side. She is in this case because of JR. And the only reason she's not going to be there is because Amy Kathleen is taking her to chemo and Diane is picking her up. "7 a.m. Central. JR meets Karen for breakfast at her apartment. Cinnamon rolls, milk or water. Karen drinks several cups of coffee because she has a grueling day of classes. Don't give in to this burning dense liberal, Karen said. You showed me your syllabus yesterday. And I'll tell you something. The topic is citizenship. This moonbat baby boomer can't teach you about citizenship. And you know that. I'll look under him. He's my advisor. I saw him in the faculty lounge offering to take the class from Dr. Watson today, just so he could find somebody to mop the floor with. The floor over some controversial contest. If only my daddy was there to see him. Well, he's not. And I don't think he even begins to care. "9 a.m. Eastern. In the U.S. House chamber, Jim is sitting waiting on pins and needles, holding his breath as Congressman Mark E. Lee of the 12th Congressional District of Pennsylvania goes on the House floor. Consideration a vote to reprimand him publicly, sending this reprimand to the Clinton administration. Begging your Honor's pardon, if it please the House of Representatives, I wish to be recognized, Congressman Larry Cabal said. The gentleman from Texas has been recognized, Newt Gingrich said. Your Honor, Mr. Speaker, I have a young girl who was in my congressional district, Washington, D.C., honoring on behalf of her father. Begging your Honor's pardon, Mr. Speaker. Okay. Begging your Honor's pardon, Mr. Speaker. I wish to go check this. This is irregular. To have a private citizen address the House floor. California Congressman Denise Carter said. Mr. Speaker, I wish to yield some time to Congressman Bill Hume from Virginia, Larry Cabal said. Gingrich bags his gavel. The gentleman from Virginia has been recognized. My fellow Americans, what did we shrink to? Hendrick is not on trial. And this is a First Amendment right. Okay? Maybe the Constitution doesn't specifically say, but please, let's live a little. Just a little. I move a simple majority vote to be considered to suspend the rules to open the discussion, Bill Hume said. Second, Congressman Bill DeMarco of Houston, Texas said, all in favor. 413 on the House allowed for my sister to speak on the House floor. A monumental moment in this country's history. Mr. Speaker, I wish to be recognized, Congressman Chris Ormsby said. The gentleman is recognized, Gingrich said, for 10 minutes. Mr. Speaker, I wish to yield my time to the young lady from Texas, Christine Hendrick. Mr. Speaker, my fellow Americans, my father's behavior towards the development is reprehensible. That is no doubt. But the public reprimand him on the say-so of acquaintance appointee when he was duly approved by the Senate on the House floor is irregular. If the House wishes to reprimand him, have an order for him to testify before the House Small Business Committee. But I'm asking you, don't punish my father on the say-so of a few. My mother used to tell my two brothers at dinner that when few reign over a country, that country will perish. Don't quash the freedom of speech and the freedom to serve this country. There was an open applause that lasted about 24 minutes before the speaker bangs his gavel again. Mr. Speaker, I wish to be recognized, Congressman Larry Combs said. The gentleman from Texas is recognized for 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, I move that a vote to be considered as to whether or not Mr. Hendrick should not be reprimanded before this House, but rather it be moved to committee. Congressman Carter spoke up. Order. Mr. Speaker, I wish to be recognized. The gentleman from Texas will yield. Order. This is highly irregular. The gentlelady will cease and desist. Congressman Tom DeLay said. I second the motion. 291 congressmen and women agreed that the reprimand vote was wrong and moved that it be moved to committee. I wish to be recognized, Congressman Mark Lee said. The gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized, Newt Gingrich said. Mr. Speaker, I move that this be adjourned and that the committee consider on May 3rd. The House is adjourned until 11 a.m., the Speaker said, banging his gavel. Jim runs down to Betsy. Well, Betsy, please just pie, it's over. The committee will do the right things. But I'll make some phone calls, Betsy said, hugging Jim, with tears running down both of their faces. 9:30 a.m. Central. Constitutional law class. Left front and center was Dr. Andrew Harmon. Today's discussion is about citizenship. I want to start with a debate. Who would dare to answer me? What is the core of citizenship in America? Dr. Harmon said. Mr. Hendrick, I pick you. All through the past 2 centuries, the basis of American citizenship deals with a civil society and the benefits of liberty and freedom with principled leadership, Gerald said. Wrong. I am offended by such remarks. The core of citizenship in America is to respect the rights of all individuals and to respect the authority of those duly elected. Dr. Harmon said, suppose the Girl Scouts wanted to select lesbian leaders. Don't you think they have that right? It is the parents' right to oversee it. Very well. Then the Supreme Court should possibly hear a case from the Boy Scouts. Then the Supreme Court, think about it, Supreme Court hears that case should be heard by the Boy Scouts. Snickers came from all over the room. I must say I laughed myself. Benny played the humorist and critic George Bernard Swan, making jokes about citizenship and crime. I laughed, but also died inside. Swan was a deep critic of my daddy and my family. I knew I was defeated during my debate, and I could not concentrate during the rest of class. Dr. Harmon left after the recording, and a huge debate took place between a woman and a substitute instructor. 11 a.m. Eastern. Inside Forever in Sarge's suite, Sarge approaches Jim. Now let's really end this once and for all, Sarge said. I love you, Jim. But Indy and Claude had no right to come to you without calling to Aunt Betsy. Now wait a minute, Betsy said. Jim, I have the contract that I had with Johnson Hargrove, originally put up to change to where you had to sign the consenting that I don't inherit anything regarding Bottomless Lake until 1 year after Mama passes away. That means we share it together. I can't believe it. I can't believe this. Sarge and Forever. You and Forever are in cahoots on this together, Jim said, half laughing. Now hold on, Uncle Jim, Sarge said. I'm going to be leaving in a few months. Get in a condo so we can go to university. I'll be happy to help you with any land deals down in Texas. But fair is fair. Jim, listen to him. It was the Bottomless Lake thing that brought us back together again, Betsy said. Daddy signed that contract, and Sarge told me that what happened afterwards was powerful, was in process. She hooked on to Daddy and held on to him for dear life. I'm sure that they went upstairs and had a beautiful companionship. We hope you enjoy listening to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a part of the adventure. This is the James Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. It's going to get interesting from here.